Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Travis, and I'm an autistic author. I love to write books about autism. So today, we're going to be talking a little bit about escaping into imagination and creating a make-believe world as a coping mechanism. Before we do that, though, I'd like for you to hit that subscribe button down there at the bottom of the page, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on YouTube. And please share this video with as many people as you can. It's such an important message to get out about autism, and I just hope that you will share this video and help raise awareness about the autism spectrum with me. Escaping into imagination is something I do. I've got a couple books that I've written about it, but basically it's where I use my imagination to create a make-believe world to help me cope with some of the social challenges that I'm experiencing with autism. There are two ways that this escaping into imagination happens. The first is where I create my own make-believe world kind of in my head, and just imagine things to be like made up in my brain. So if I'm in a social situation to where I'm struggling socially, I'm trying to, figure out how to make friends and things like that, I start escaping into my imagination. I create make-believe characters in my head. I'll have like imaginary friends and things like that. And that'll be really helpful for me in overcoming some of the challenges with the social world, because I'll have those make-believe friends to help me cope with not having real friends. The other way that I escape into my imagination, create a make-believe world, is to pretend to be a part of a movie or a TV show. So for example, a TV show Friends. I'm very known for acting out that show and being a part of that show, and just trying to participate in that show and act out scenes from the show when interacting with my friends and peers, and things like that. And so I can mimic what's going on in Hollywood. It's really easy for me to study a TV show and mimic what's going on. I remember growing up, I grew up in the 90s, so I used to watch a couple shows. One was Saved by the Bell and one was Full House. And I tried to mimic the characters from those shows. So I always tried to be Zach Morris because I thought he was the coolest kid in Bayside High School in Saved by the Bell. So I was always trying to be Zach Morris. I wasn't quite the jock like Casey Slater, so I couldn't be Slater. But I would try to be Zach Morris, and I would always act like him and try to mimic what he was doing socially. And then, of course, in Full House, I tried to be Danny, Jesse, and Joey and mimic what they were doing socially and interact with, on their level and things like that. And so I just really, there's a lot of value in escaping into imagination and creating a make-believe world, but it's also a little bit dangerous because you can get confused with, you'll confuse the make-believe world with reality. So for example, something that happens in a movie or on TV shows, you'll see it happen and you'll try it in real life. And unfortunately, the context is different, right? So context is king, context is different, and it doesn't work in real life like it does in a movie. And that presents some issues for us as we, try to interact with each other and make friendships and build real relationships in the real world, because I can't do the same things with real people that Jessica Katopoulos does in Full House with people from Full House. Or I can't do the same things with Kelly Kapowski that Zach Morris did with Kelly Kapowski, or I can't do the same things with other girls that Zach Morris did with Kelly Kapowski and Saved by the Bell, because I'm not Zach Morris, and it's not a TV show. And that's something that took me a long time to realize. I would always try to mimic what was going on there and mimic the TV shows and try to be Zach Morris, and it very rarely works positive results for me because I'm not Zach Morris and it's not TV, it's not Hollywood. I use that coping skill, the make-believe world, as a coping mechanism. And I often apply my special interest to that make-believe world. So for example, I played the trombone, right? So I always played the trombone, and when I played the trombone, I escaped into my imagination and created this make-believe world to where I pretended to be a professional trombonist for the New York Philharmonic. New York Philharmonic is a prestigious philharmonic orchestra in the United States of America, and I would pretend to be the lead principal trombonist, and I would just have all kinds of fun in band class. This was high school band class, and I was pretending to be principal trombone for a prestigious orchestra. And I had all kinds of fun because I would just pretend to be the professional, and I thought the other players in the band looked up to me and wanted to be like me, and I used that imagination to help me gain. I used that special interest and that escaping into imagination in the make-believe world to help me have confidence to be a great trombonist. And I learned how to play the trombone, that drive to be principal trombonist for the New York Philharmonic led to me practicing in real life 6 to 8 hours per day, which in real life actually made me good enough to where I could have auditioned for the New York Philharmonic if I wanted to. So, the escaping into imagination with a special interest, creating that make-believe world can actually be a very useful tool for you in developing self-esteem, and also you can use it to teach social skills. You can use it for all sorts of things that are positive with autism. Unfortunately, though, that special interest in escaping into imagination with that make-believe world can also be a negative thing because it keeps you trapped in this make-believe world, and you're going to be comfortable there, right? So you're going to be comfortable in your make-believe world. You're not going to want to step out into the real world because the make-believe world is comfortable and safe. But we want to be able to step out into the real world to try and make friends in the real world and really interact with people that we meet in real life. And so, unfortunately, escaping into imagination like that in the make-believe world can lead to a lot of depression and anxiety after a long time because you're not living in the real world, and eventually you realize that, hey, I want to be a part of the real world and have real friendships and relationships and things like that. And so that's just a little bit about an introduction to escaping into imagination and creating a make-believe world. There's pros and cons to it, obviously. So, you got to look at what is your child doing, what is helpful, what is not helpful, what is hurtful, and things like that. And so, when you're assessing this, escape into imagination, it can really help a child thrive with autism, but it can also slow us down from learning social skills and being a part of the real world. So make sure you keep an eye on your child's ability to escape into imagination and create a make-believe world, and use that special interest in the make-believe world, because it can be a really great thing, but it can also be a bad thing. So just eye it, keep an eye on it, make sure that they're not developing a lot of anxiety or depression, and like I did sometimes growing up, and just really just help them. If it's a positive thing, let's work with it. Let's magnify it and make it go big. But if you see it to become start to become a negative thing, let's kind of pull back on it and kind of wait and maybe find something else to focus on, like another special interest, or try not to escape into that imagination so much that we're losing our ability to be a part of the real world as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about escape into imagination, creating a make-believe world as a coping mechanism for autism. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and follow me on YouTube. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.